On Vanguard Live, I'm Damola Ogunshaki, and of course here on Today in the News we read and give in-depth analysis on some of the stories making waves across Nigeria. And this morning I'll be starting with the front page of Vanguard newspaper and the paper review. And Vanguard this morning is leading with flood, Delta, Anambra, Benue. Bayelsa governors cry to federal government for help. 8 local government areas submerged, and that's coming from Soludo. Bayelsa facing humanitarian crisis, that's according to Diri. Also, Benue overwhelmed, Tom is saying that. And according to Okowa, it says the federal government should build more dams. 10 local government areas still underwater. That's coming from Kogi government. Federal government taking steps to mitigate effects, that's according to source. You can see that story on page 5 of Vanguard newspaper. And here we have a photo story with the writer that says, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, APC presidential candidate Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and Vice President Oyemi Oshibajo during the third ministerial performance review retreat at Presidential Villa, Abuja yesterday. On page 6, we have how we advance your legacies, Tinubu assures Buhari. Federal government backs OPEC production cutback, says IOC's onshore divestment threats to job security. You can see that story on page 6 and also on page 25. Burning of crude oil vessel, Tompolo faults Falana, defends CDS and Navy. And on page 3, we have allow Konwa and Namda coexist with ASU. Federal government tells NLC. On page 10, we have Zamfara government bows to pressure, withdraws others, shutting broadcast stations. 2023, Wike pitches tent with Sanwo-Olu. On page 2, we have bandits invade hospital, kill 2, abduct scores in Niger. And on page 3, we have 2023, preparing transition documents. Buhari directs SGF and ministers. On page 6, only 11 states have voted for constitution amendment bills 6 months after transmission. That's coming from the National Assembly. Finally, on the front page of Vanguard, we have federal government to spend 10 billion naira on 9 post recapitalizations, and at its kick. You can see that story on page 19 of the Vanguard newspaper. Away from there, we move to The Guardian. And The Guardian this morning, it's leading with violent campaigns. INEC summons political parties for dumping peace accord. 2023, Buhari directs SGF to begin auction on handover. Don't abandon governors, President warns as APC launches PCC on Friday. I will continue with Buhari's legacy, says Tinubu. Shareholders advocate peaceful polls and coordination in judicial processes. You can see that on page 6. Constitution, 25 states hide behind state police. Local government autonomy to frustrate amendments. You can see that on page 6 of The Guardian. Stories above, we have not endorsed any presidential candidates, our leaders clarify. And that's all we have on the front page of The Guardian newspaper. Away from there, we move to The Nation. The Nation this morning is leading with how I will boost economy, enhance security by Tinubu. APC candidate promises to sustain Buhari's legacy. And there's a quote here. It says, despite financial headwinds, you embarked on an unparalleled expansion of the national infrastructure. Work in the power sector is showing dividends amidst increased investor confidence in the area. And of course, you can see that inside The Nation newspaper. And we have Buhari to unveil Tinubu's campaign documents and cancel on Friday. You can see that story on page 25. Stories above, we have Wike endorses Sanwo-Olu for second term, dumps PDP candidates. You can see that on page 25. And lastly, on the front page of The Nation, we have Bank of America predicts Naira depreciation. You can see that on page 7 of The Nation newspaper. Now let's move to The Punch. And The Punch this morning is leading with political rally attacks. INEC summons party. Police planned a 13 billion naira firearms purchase. Our government candidate in mastermind attack on PDP rally. Kaduna APC. Northern coalition to publish article Tinubu and Obi's promises. And stories below, we have I don't know who killed Ataga. I fled in fear. That's coming from Chidima. Ogun workers quit Chinese factory, protest colleagues' death. You can see that on page 4. Stories above, we have Nigerians pay over 1 trillion naira tax to 36 states. That can be seen on page 27. And insurgency killed 100,000, displaced 2 million. That's coming from CDS. And lastly, on the front page of the Punch newspaper, we have terrorism. Lafarge's Naira stock plunges amid a $778 million fine. You can see that on page 35 of the Punch newspaper. And that's all we have on the front pages of the dailies this morning. Join us after the break as we analyze these stories. All right, welcome back. If you are just joining me, this is Today the News on Vanguard Live. I'm Damlola Ogunshakin. Joining me to analyze the front pages of the dailies this morning is Mr. Gbenro Lajigbe, the Executive Director of Emergency and Risk Alerts. Good morning, Mr. Gbenro.
Good morning. It's a pleasure being with you.
Yes, thank you for joining us. All right, let's move straight to the front pages of the dailies. And we have the story of the floods. And of course, for some weeks now, we've been hearing about the floods in some parts of Nigeria, especially in Delta, Bayelsa, Benue, and also some other parts. The governors of these states, they've appealed to federal government to immediately come to their aid to avert a looming humanitarian crisis. What do you think about the pleas from the governors?
Flood in Nigeria is perennial, so it's a disaster foretold. And we as an organization, we are reflecting a lot on it. Particularly recently, we published our policy brief, which dwell on the emergency response in Nigeria, which is we suggested integration of policy planning and intervention together, so that we can competently respond to emergency situation like this in Nigeria. Flood has marooned a lot of states, including Kogi, including Jigawa, including Kano, including Katsina, and also Bayelsa. If you look at the picture coming out from Bayelsa, you wonder whether we have government or we don't have government. I will continue to even look, even within the context of this crisis now, where is the ministry and the minister and the Ministry of Humanitarian and Disaster Management? That is the challenge we have. Government pay lip service to what constitutes the cardinal and core welfare of the people. Because when majority of people like this, large number of population of Nigeria are put at risk, not only at risk, many have died, over 800 persons have been reportedly dead in this flood. Billions of property have been washed off, livelihood has been destroyed, living and movement have been altered. So it's a lot of problem. But the problem is that government has never paid attention to what we call emergency response. Emergency response, you don't pay attention when there is crisis. There's what we call risk reduction, disaster risk reduction. There are activities that have not gone up. For instance, government always tell Nigerians that it's because Lado Dam in Cameroon has been opened. That's why you have fraud in Nigeria. Is that an excuse for a sovereign nation who is expected to have taken our own destiny in hand by ensuring, one, that River Nigers and Benue, that they are direct up to the Delta region, where you have Delta, where many tributaries enter the Atlantic Ocean. The water is overflowing their banks. Almost all water is in Nigeria because of the density of rainfall. And they don't have enough area to retain water. That is why if the waters and the rivers are drained, maybe there will be a very significant reduction in the type of in the flood that we see in Nigeria today. But government have not done that. And they go to pedestrian instead of saying that it's because people are building on unplanned areas as excuse. Where is planned area in the area of climate change? We have never situated the context of climate change, even into our environment, to relate it to the hazard that we are faced with. And today, look at almost all parts of Nigeria. People are becoming IDP due to cost of nature. That whose risk could be mitigated, could be reduced if we consciously plan for this. If we have a diligent policy in place that highlight how emergency response should be coordinated. So it's unfortunate that Nigerians have found themselves in this boat that we call government. Everything rises and falls on leadership. This is now, this is never, and it's not an example of how emergencies are supposed to be managed. Look at the situation of hurricane in the UK in the last 1 month. As fast as it was, FEPA rose to the occasion with support from the president, assurance from the people who are trained, who are well managed, who know what to do in the context of emergency, and how to handle people, how to rescue people, how to recover those that have been killed, and how to mitigate the general impact of the disaster. But we do nothing in Nigeria because we always see it, and even at the level of government, they call it act of government, act of God. It's very unfortunate that we have no plan for anything, including our lives, including how people die, because people are not supposed to die miserably in this type of disaster that can be foreseen, that can be foretold, that should be prepared for, and should be responded to appropriately, competently, adequately, and effectively.
This same disaster happened in 2012, and as it is now, in a year or 2 years time, or of course in the near future, this same disaster might happen again. So what do you think we can do to prepare ahead?
I have said most of the things we should say. In 2012, because I led the response to emergency, I led response to those emergency of 2012. After responding to the emergency, we came out with another policy brief that we titled Emergency Response Accountability Free Zone in Nigeria. Who do we hold accountable? Monies were collected under Jonathan through the govt committee in 2012, aftermath of 2012, so as to begin to put in place relief centers where people could go to. You don't just ask people to move out of their home, because most of the people that are in these floodplain areas are poor people that have no friends that have houses, have no friends to move to. Most of their friends are within them because they are poor and their reach is limited to the environment where they occupy. So you must prepare a place for them, which you can call relief center. For example, Lagos, I know that Lagos has one, and I visited the one at Lagos have about 3, at least after the month of 2010, because I came to Lagos then to support the last summer. And in terms of analysis of vulnerability and what should be put in place. Thank God, the current permanent secretary of that last summer was the one actually there. Then as the coordinator of last summer, whatever they call it at that time. What I'm saying is that government should know that emergency response, emergency management is not act of charity. It's a core duty. It's the right of the people. It's the welfare of the people. In fact, people who are affected by those emergencies, particularly flood, that happens almost every year and severely every 10 years, should now have been understood. Look, what government can clearly do now is to immediately look into the way of dredging the Niger Benue through up to Delta. And not only that, they must take action in expanding the various dams that government have built in Nigeria, so that there is more capacity for them, more the volume of water to retain more volume of water in them, so that as to more water when there is high intensity of rainfall. Government should do that, and also as part of the relief intervention, those that are affected must be helped because they have lost. Most of them have lost. Most family have lost loved ones. They have lost property. They have lost means of livelihood. So those are things that government do everywhere to assure their citizens that they are with them when they are in trouble. It's not. It doesn't make meaning when you ask people to stand up for national anthem, national pledge. What are they pledging for? A society that will not stand for them when it happens to them. So many of anthem every day is one for people to be loyal to their country and for the government to be responsive and responsible to issues that affect their people. So that is what connotes the concept of social contracts. The government has failed in this respect. People, they are left on their own to cater for them, and it's always difficult because this has overwhelmed most part of the country. Even the state governments are overwhelmed, but I have pity on the government of the state at the level of state. But I know that in the last 10 years, I've gone around all the 36 states in Nigeria, including SCTA, emergency management agencies, to support them, to put in place structures and everything. Let me give you a clear example of one thing. The state was overwhelmed in 2012, the most overwhelmed state in 2012, and arguably the most overwhelmed this year again. I went there, we put in place the disaster budgeting, where there is dedicated part of their money to respond to disaster. But then, did they do that? They did not. What happened is that I don't want to go into the corruption aspect of emergency response in Nigeria. So, if I and it's clear about the behavior of the state towards these people. Do you see any government looking at their side? Governor looking at them. Do you see a president visiting any of these areas? Do you see? And to worsen the situations of management and coordination of disaster, you just lawlessly, with impunity, remove NEMA that is expected to coordinate out of the office of the vice president to a minister that is absolutely incompetent to oversee issue of disaster management and issue of humanitarian crisis.
All right, Mr. Gbero, let's move away from that and talk about this. The presidential candidate of APC, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, yesterday assured President Muhammadu Buhari that if elected, he will advance the effect and legacy of his administration. What do you think about this coming from the APC presidential candidate?
Which legacy is he going to build on? Which legacy of the president? Is this the one that is flawed, that nobody is responding to? The legacy of poverty, making Nigeria poor? Which legacy? Legacy of country that has lost almost its youth to the concept of Japa? Which legacy is he going to uphold? Is it legacy of insecurity? Legacy of poverty? Legacy of decimation of Nigerian currency? These are challenges, and these are the problem I have with Nigerian people. Look, you don't return party that has failed into power. That is the definition of democracy everywhere. But we continue to reinforce failure by rewarding those who are part of the failure with another terms, with another regimes and everything. So Nigeria people that hardly care about holding their government accountable for the situations of Nigeria. So what is he going to build on? He has not been campaigning with the so-called legacy he wants to build on. Why have they been campaigning with the legacy in Lagos that outrightly not his? Legacy of Fashola, legacy of Anambra, the legacy of Sanwo-Olu. Is that what we need at this particular time? Nigeria don't need this type of deception. This government has failed and irredeemably. So there's no legacy I see. You can't put something on nothing.
Talking about
the legacy of 50 trillion debt that is coming, almost climbing to 50 trillion if you now borrow another 8 trillion to respond to the shortfall of this current 2023 budget. So it's a problem and burden postponed. So Nigeria should see the failure as that of the APC as a party. That is how people are treated in democracy, so that they can send on holiday to go and learn lesson before they recontest election.
All right, so you talked about the legacy of Sanwo-Olu. Let's talk about him now. Governor Wike of Rivers State yesterday endorsed Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State for a second term, but was silent on the fate of PDP's candidate in Lagos, that Dr. Olajide Adediran, popularly known called Jandor. What do you think about this? I mean, PDP person endorsing an APC person for the governorship seat.
I don't see anything bad in it, because it depends on personal view, personal perspective, whether irrespective of the motivation in democracy. But personally, though we have problem in Lagos, there are crises, but within the context of the problem in Lagos, personally, I feel that Sanwo-Olu has actually done well, above average, and he deserves to be re-elected as far as I'm concerned. Deserve to be re-elected, even though I don't want to touch the party under his party platforms. But I think personally, and of course within the context of Lagos, the context of possibility, and the projects that he's executing and that the one that he has completed, he has tried in a way. So I don't see any PDP candidate coming out to do that. And the PDP candidate slogan is even a hogwash when you say Lagos for Lagos. Lagos for Lagos. Lagos for Lagos. What does that mean? That is the I don't know anything about that. But I think if you comparatively look at what Sanwo-Olu have done vis-a-vis the promise of PDP, it will be unwise to go outside with Sanwo-Olu to go and vote for other person. Is it the railway project?
We are talking about Wike. We are talking about Wike. Let's not forget that Wike and of course PDP, they've been in
That's why that's why I said that Wike has expressed. I started by saying he expressed his perspective, opinion, and everything. So I just corroborated what he has said, that even as a political as I am, that is my position too. But that does not mean that Wike is speaking out of a political situation. He has his problem with his party, and he has a choice to make too. He knows where he's going as a politician. That is why Wike is saying what he's saying. Ordinarily, if there is enough accommodation for him in PDP, maybe irrespective of performance of Sanwo-Olu, he will not be saying that. He's fighting a cause. But my problem, where he said it, he donated money. That money is unacceptable for a governor to go to other states and begin to donate money as if it's his father's property. Mm-hmm. You don't go anywhere and donate money not in the project. So Wike has his own problem. He understands why he's doing what he's doing. But I will still concede his right to freedom of expression, irrespective of the fact that he's in PDP or out of PDP, whichever is correct at this particular time.
All right, let's talk about Zamfara. So Zamfara state government has apologized for shutting down 5 broadcast stations in the state. The government ordered the closure of 5 media houses in the state capital for providing coverage for PDP's for a political rally organized by PDP. What do you think about this apology after shutting down these stations?
What do you make apology for what stand as a very megalomaniac behavior of showmanship, power holders and everything? What do you make of that? That is outright autocracy in democracy. What is the offense? What have the media done to deserve or attract such persecution from a governor that is whose state is under siege? The media has done enough to project this to the world so that it can get support at federal level and wherever it's seeking support. Because of politics, it's unacceptable. After all, it was in PDP himself. He didn't win election under APC. He won his election under PDP. So it's really unfortunate that we are even talking of this type of thing in democracy. No government, no president has the right to shut down any news. We are not a military regime. There are offenses. If any publication is offensive, the least you can do is to sue for libel or for slander if it is radio or whatever, broadcast media or medium. So it is not acceptable. It's archaic. It's backward. It's anti-development. It's anti-progress. It's in line with what happened during the Dark Ages.
All right, I think we're having...
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yes. I was saying that his action is unacceptable in democracy, and that action is not expected of a man that won even election under PDP. He didn't even win election. It was because of the disqualification of the then APC candidate when Senator Marafa took his party to court over the primary election that was not well conducted. So the governor was wrong, absolutely wrong in all areas, and his apology should not be accepted because he has no reason to have done that in the first place. Mm-hmm. What type of apology for a deliberate breach of others' right? He should pay damages in a civilized society. You can't do that. You can't achieve that. As a matter of fact, when you close stations, close radio, close all those media of expression, what you have done is to shut down the state. And if there is a revenge from the journalists or media houses to deliberately black out his programs and everything, what is left of him as a politician?
All right, thank you, Mr. Gbenro Olajigbe. Let's end this on a lighter note. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, let's end this on a lighter note with Mr. and Mrs. And the first person speaking this morning is Mrs. She says, why the first? You said you are very hungry and I served the food. And Mr. replied, is that why you served fufu of this size? This is what they call making a mountain out of a molehill.
Well, I think we should learn to eat what we see at this particular time. A lot of Nigerians
there's a big mountain of food in front of Mr. If you see the picture.
Well, I have not seen the picture, but that shows that man should be a mountain then. What we used to call mountain in the Gulliver's Travels and everything there. But the challenge is that as a people today, we should temper even what we eat with mercy for others. Yeah. If we are eating 2 wraps of a potato before, as a family, let us remember those who don't even have any grain of rice to eat, and extend the hands to them so that we can all live happily or survive together at best if we can't live happily. So I think that is the message we should preach. And the gluttony should depart from family at this particular time. So Mr. Man should understand what the Bible called that. Those who eat too much, they tend into poverty at the end. So let us see that and whatever we eat or drink or do.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Gbenro Olajigbe, for joining us this morning.
It's a pleasure being with you. Thank you.
Yes, and he's the Executive Director of Emergency and Risk Alert. He just reviewed and analyzed some of the stories on the front pages with us this morning. And to get more of these stories, you can follow us on all the social media platforms showing on your screen. On Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Our TikTok number is also displayed on your screen. My name is Damlola Ogunshakin. It's bright from me.